You want to start off with your joke?
How do you get a jiu-jitsu player off your front porch?
I don't know.
Pay for the pizza.
I don't get
It
it.
implies they're dumb. Okay, cut, take two.
In 2019, we here at Flow Sports took part in a few experimental matches that pitted the world's best grapplers against the world's best wrestlers, in hopes to find out some answers to these questions like, could a grappler ever take down a wrestler? Could a wrestler ever submit a grappler? And which actually is the superior combat skill? What did we actually learn from these matches? Did we get any of those questions that we've been wondering answered? So now I've decided to dive back into the world of wrestling versus grappling just for you guys. Talk to all the experts we have here at Flow Sports and find out finally an end to this debate. Who's tougher, wrestlers or grapplers?
Wrestlers are tougher. And
What makes you say that?
because we've been doing this since we could walk.
Things you have to do to be really elite at wrestling are just a lot more difficult. Don't take it from me. Ask Nicky Ryan.
It's awful. I hate it.
He's one of the best grapplers in the world. He cannot stand wrestling because it's so hard.
Jiu-jitsu's easy, man. That's why I do it. I'm lazy. I'm 36 years old. I barely work out. I could not go to a high school or college wrestling practice on a daily basis.
I live next to a guy who wrestles actually, and I saw him running in trash bags in the sun. They're all masochists as far as I can tell.
If you've gone through the NCAA wrestling system, then every grappler I've talked to is like, nah, I don't want to touch wrestling.
You can hang out, you can relax in jiu-jitsu. Watching these grappling matches, you can say there's stuff happening, but there's not movement.
I have an endless amount of respect for the athletes who compete in wrestling because it is by far one of the toughest and most intense sports you can possibly do. But they're not as good as jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu's a little bit ragtag when compared to collegiate level wrestling. We love to work hard, but I think we also smile a bit more.
I feel like there's more of a, hey, relax, hey, bro, kind of atmosphere and chill, and we can get there whenever.
It's almost like the style has bled out into the psychology and the kind of the just the general behavior of the community.
Wrestling is very one-way traffic, and I feel like I like the craftiness of jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu guys know that you cannot just run headfirst through a brick wall. Sometimes the best way is to take that little detour and just go around it. And I think, jiu-jitsu guys, sorry to say wrestlers, but we're just smarter than you.
Who's the smarter of the two?
Trying to get me killed? Who's smarter?
I'm trying to tee you up here.
Jiu-jitsu guys are way smarter. Like, way smarter.
Wrestlers would just run through the wall.
Yeah.
So they're tougher, but they're not gonna be smart.
Well, I'll say that wrestlers are smarter because they chose wrestling, not jiu-jitsu.
Talk about first Nicky Rod versus Pat Downey. Do you remember how this match came to be?
Who's number one? That's our high school event where we invite a bunch of the top ranked kids in the country to wrestle each other in a card. I think it was on a Saturday, and I feel like Tuesday or Thursday, something like that. This idea came up, and called them. They both said yeah, and we're on a plane the next day or something.
Nicky Rod was the breakout star of 2019, right? This guy, he came from absolutely nowhere.
I mean, Nicky Rod's a rare breed. He is an ex-wrestler that has come and embraced jiu-jitsu. He has unnatural physical abilities. He's a huge man, and he's very nimble. He's cat-like. He jumps around, he flips over opponents, cartwheel guard passes, and all these kinds of things.
A couple of years ago, I probably wouldn't have had interest in watching a high-level wrestler go against a high-level grappler. And after watching what Nicky Rod was able to do at 80 cc's, it really dramatically changed my perspective.
I'll show them who the punk is out in the parking lot.
Tell me a little bit about Pat Downey for people who don't know anything about Pat Downey.
He is a big personality. He is a big talent. And he has no problem going over the top.
Go outside.
He's a trash talker. He definitely fits like the MMA sort of mantra of trash talk.
People like to underrate him because he's got the mullet, he's sort of crazy, this and that. But beat a couple Russians that were wrestling for other countries who were legit.
This is a guy who just made a world team, USA. He was a match away from qualifying the weight for the Olympics, which is an incredible accomplishment.
The edge had to be on Pat Downey right now. We've moved from grappling or jiu-jitsu and ADCC style format to a pure wrestling tournament. Anyone in their home field advantage is supposed to come out on top.
So of course you see the rule set here, 4 points feet to back, 2 points for a takedown, 1 point for a push out.
It's basically a wrestling match, and there's no option whatsoever for Nick to use jiu-jitsu or any kind of grappling because it's a takedown match. Yeah. That's it.
Nick Rodriguez, that we've said, breakout performance at ADCC, which is basically the Olympics of grappling. And a step out right away for Downey. We go up 1-0. Now you're working off front headlock.
It's almost like a jiu-jitsu position right there.
It is. That is about as close as you can get. Yeah, it's a front headlock. It could be turned into like an anaconda choke or a front headlock choke.
That was interesting to me. To see him actually try and submit him was really interesting. And then he kind of gave up on the idea.
Now he runs down the leg, gets to the angle. He's gonna. Oh, that's gonna be 4, I think. You take him from his feet to his back. So we're halfway to attack.
That's not really a takedown to me.
And that was 4 points. That was, so that's a big swing in terms of points, especially when the matches only go to 10 points, and then you.
Nicky Rod was ready to come up. I feel like Pat Downey, of course, was relaxed. He knew the rules and the format. He knew he wasn't any danger.
Just like that, 2 minutes down, and it's 8-0.
Yeah, and a lot of it was step outs.
Yeah.
Nicky's not accustomed to a step out rule. There's no step out rule in any type of jiu-jitsu that I know of. Yeah. This rule is really. It's tough.
What do you think maybe that Nicky Rod's strategy should have been here? Do you think he...
Don't take the match. No, I joke, right? But it's just like, Pat's just better.
These tie-ups, those are Pat's world. That's kind of where he lives.
Yes, Pat wants to have his hands on you at all times. Not all wrestlers are like that, but Pat is one that is like that. He wants to have collar and underhook and double underhooks and over-under body locks. The best wrestlers know that Pat Downey's going to underhook him, and a lot of them can't do a thing about it, right? The idea that Nicky would be able to neutralize his underhooks is just so unlikely.
Woo, they fight. Oh yeah, you're allowed to get a break from wrestling.
You surprised it goes into the second period?
No, I'm not surprised because Downey and Nicky Rod are friends, and there's maybe a little unwritten, okay, I won't body in the first period kind of thing. Pat is trying to decide how big he wants to win here. So boom. Had the body lock, and Nicky bellies down, and Pat hits an easy 4 to make it a 12-0 exclamation point tech fall.
A jiu-jitsu guy would eat that. A jiu-jitsu guy would allow himself to be taken down because he knows, okay, I can't take this wrestler down. I'm gonna let him take me down because that's when my game starts.
Did you learn anything from this match, you think?
I didn't learn anything from this match. I thought Pat Downey would tech Nick Rodriguez.
And that's what happened.
The rule set was not down the line. Nicky Rod was set up to fail. I think he held his own. I think he kind of opened a lot of people's eyes.
I gotta say, even though Nicky Rod was tech-fold, I believe it's the correct expression there, I wasn't super impressed with Pat Downey in the sense because he won by scoring and playing smart, but I'd love to see them in a grappling format with submissions allowed and also a stricter takedown scoring format.
They haven't been able to come up with a set of rules that's like, make the wrestler grapple, the grappler's gonna tap him. You put Nicky Rod, who technically, yeah, he's a wrestler, but I mean, Pat Downey was on the world team last year. You're not gonna go out and play basketball against an NBA player and just do good, you know? It's like, these guys are at the top of the world in freestyle wrestling. It's a different sport.
The match is great fun to watch. This really gave me a little taste of it, but I really just wanted more opportunities to see, what our guys are really capable of.
Let's talk about Bo versus Gordon. Mm-hmm. Another big match that happened last year.
I was extremely excited for this match because I would see Bo Nickal in a position I'd probably never seen him in. Part of me was like, man, there's a risk of injury here. You're entering a world you don't really necessarily belong in yet. Bo Nickal was extremely dynamic, very exciting. He had a lot of different ways to score. He was incredibly dominant. A lot of his matches didn't last. He would either pin or tech fall them.
I know Bo Nickal is an impressive wrestler, but tell me some of his credentials so I know.
NCAA champion, multiple NCAA champion, a Hodge Trophy winner, so he's kind of the MVP of wrestling.
I wanted to know how much has Bo Nickal really trained this, because he just graduated from college, basically.
Bo's crafty. Bo's this really unique, creative wrestler. I don't know, maybe he's been doing grappling. I don't know, he kicks the crap out of everybody in wrestling. Yeah. I don't know, let's go to the world, see what happens.
For people who don't know who Gordon Ryan is and what he's accomplished in grappling, what would you say?
Well, you should know who Gordon Ryan is because he's the king.
He is one of the loudest personalities in the room as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned. Also one of the most accomplished grapplers ever. 3-time ADCC champion. He's only had like 3 losses in his career.
Gordon had cleared out the competition. He had just demolished everybody. It was so difficult for him to find matches. What he had to do was he had to put out the challenge to find somebody from the world of wrestling who was willing to take him on. And luckily, Bo Nickal stepped up.
These are two very high-level guys from different sports going against each other. It's a modified rule set. Were you excited?
Yeah, well, there was the modified rule set, right? It was like, and I think you, and probably everybody who at least understood, was like, can Bo avoid going to the ground?
When they said that, oh no, Bo is gonna have to do jiu-jitsu, I'm like, okay, now you have my interest.
Gordon could not pull guard. That was the stipulation there, which, you know, is a fair way to try and neutralize the advantages that the jiu-jitsu guy would have in a grappling match. There's also no leg locks, I believe, in this match, which again takes away some of Gordon's very best weapons.
Takedowns were a thing, sweeps were a thing, all other submissions beyond legs were a thing. So you thought maybe this was the opportunity to really see a high-level grappler take on a high-level wrestler.
Had a lot of hype here internally in the office. The wrestling guys are very excited to see Bo Nickal take on Gordon. Bo himself had a very, very confident attitude going into the match.
Before I step out on the mat, this guy's so worried about what I'm going to do to him. He doesn't know if I'm going to headlock, if I'm going to cement mixer him, or if I'm just going to take him down 10 times.
How did you think this one was going to go down?
I thought maybe Bo would take him down or something at some point, but I didn't think Bo Nickal had much of a chance in this match at all.
He's gonna have to just stiff arm him for 14 minutes and 35 seconds, and then try and sneak one out at the end. Turns out I wasn't the only one that thought of that.
Yeah.
Right away, we're going 15 minutes here. This is going to be interesting.
It was kind of a weird match how it played out, actually.
There was a long period of relative passivity.
Terrible stances. Standing straight up. He's sticking his leg out. He's doing a little Darian Caldwell, trying to get him to take the leg. And Bo's like, I am not stupid.
I see what Gordon Ryan can do. He killed you with just his legs.
God, he didn't want to engage at all, did he?
Bo?
Yeah, no.
No, he was not about it.
I can't blame him.
Look at this, Bo's got that super strong underhook. Gordon goes for the wizard and then boom, flies through, dives into the inside Sankaku position. They roll out of bounds. Now that's unfortunate because if that had happened in the middle of the match, that would be a takedown.
I actually didn't see this coming. You know, looking at it now makes a ton of sense. He did it over and over again in the match.
It was something that Bo was, he saw it once and it was like, oh, okay, Gordon's going for the legs. But then he tried it again and Bo was like, no, that shit's not gonna work on me again.
Bo Nickal dodging that kind of Basami, the scissor takedown. So let's see what else Gordon has. Well, I don't think we've seen a takedown attempt from Bo.
Bo's not doing a whole lot, but that seems kind of smart. Is Gordon getting frustrated? Could Bo just avoid a takedown and like potentially win or sneak one late?
Is he going for the donkey guard?
Jeff Glover here in the house, donkey guard.
It's totally bizarre because Gordon was just trying to get taken down for an extended period of time. He's turning around, turning your back to your opponent.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. Gordon don't care though.
At this point, Gordon wants the match on the mat.
So Gordon just starts acting a fool and trolling him, trying to get Bo to take him down.
Gordon said, please take me for a ride, and Bo gave him that ticket.
You can see, it looked like Bo was a little confused. He wanted Gordon to stand back up.
And the referee was like, no, under the rules of this match, you have to engage.
Once you're down, you are able to stay on your butt and scoot.
So Bo screwed himself by getting the takedown.
Yeah.
This is kind of the moment everyone was waiting for as far as jiu-jitsu audiences. I mean, this is where Gordon is at his best.
A little far ankle defense here.
So he's bringing some mat wrestling to this. I feel like you really can see both styles, kind of melding together. And this is the same little sweep that he tried to hit on Buchecha in the ADCC finals.
This shoulder crunch, Sumigeshi from the butterfly guard, this completely controls the guy's upper body.
When you base out with your hand like that, you open up a triangle. And again, Bo did fight this. He did slam Gordon, but then this is when it really sets him deep. You can see him lock it in.
Muscling out of there. It's always, at first, it always feels like such a good idea. You're like, I'm just gonna gorilla.
Hats off to both these competitors. That was really amazing.
That was awesome.
You know, that was a really fun event. My first jiu-jitsu event, so it was really exciting. Awesome crowd. I have a lot of respect for the jiu-jitsu community and the fans, so it was really awesome to have the opportunity to come out here and compete.
He actually made it into more of a wrestling match. We wrestled for most of the match, but I want to do a match where there's still submissions but no guard play with Bo, just to kind of almost like an ADCC scoring kind of rule set.
It was an unusual match in the sense of that it wasn't a traditional jiu-jitsu match. It wasn't a traditional wrestling match. I didn't mean it was a bad match to watch. It was kind of compelling at the same time.
The moment Bo Nickal decided he wanted to score with a wrestling maneuver, he did. Gordon Ryan tried to score with jiu-jitsu stuff for minutes at a time and wasn't able to do so against Bo Nickal.
It's going to be pretty hard to take down a wrestler. I mean, it's not a shock. It's not a major revelation, but Gordon has been putting in significant time and effort with guys like Nicky Rod to work on his wrestling. He just wasn't even close to taking him down.
Do you feel like that this rule set maybe was just a little bit more inclusive for both sides?
Yes, you know, there's going to be no perfect marriage of both formats. It's just they're very different as far as what people are looking for in each sport.
This is too much in favor of Gordon. The other one's too much in favor of Downey. Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle. I don't have the answers.
We stopped worrying about making everyone happy and making them comfortable. Then maybe we'll get further that way.
There should be a wrestling jiu-jitsu czar who's just making notes all the while in the background working on the perfect rule set, because I think there could be something really cool with it.
In 2019, we learned some things, maybe not you, but we did maybe learn a couple.
I learned I want more. I'd love to see more of these hybrid matches.
Wrestlers should be looking at grappling. Why? Because the wrestling career is so short.
There's not many people wrestling after their early 20s unless they're trying to make the Olympics.
We need to keep giving ourselves a new avenue for competition outside of a season.
Jiu-jitsu fills that wrestling-shaped hole in your life.
Come on over. You know, we'd love to have you. You can teach us a lot, and maybe we could also help you guys out.
What would it take for a high-level grappler to compete at a high level in wrestling?
All I have to do is wrestle every day for 25 years.
When it's all said and done, we get the perfect rule set, the perfect match, the perfect wrestler versus the perfect grappler.
Yeah.
Who wins?
The wrestler. You know that, Reed. Come on.
Do you want to see, more combinations of these types of matchups?
Do I want to see more wrestlers get submitted by jiu-jitsu guys? Hell yeah.
I love jiu-jitsu. I think it is an amazing sport, but it just ain't wrestling.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
Sick. Awesome. Sweet. Thanks so much.
Oh. Who's gonna